Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Trip, where we explore the connections between mindset and mental health.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for yet another week. We have really had amazing feedback, amazing turnout, and amazing interaction from you guys this month. Our topic is, I love me, do you love you? Just kind of exploring the different ways that love plays a role in our personal lives, how we love ourselves, in relationships with other people. Last week, we explored career and passion and finding your purpose. And then today, we tie it all together with how you can show love globally and in your community.
Absolutely. And if you guys weren't able to check out the last couple of weeks, we're going to try to, like Taylor said, tie it in together today, do a little bit of review. But, it is so important that we understand what love means and how to find love and our purpose and communicate healthily, because that's what literally makes the world a better place. And so that's why we wanted to spend an entire month focusing on that. So without further ado, we are going to talk about what it means to love globally and in the community today.
Absolutely. So let's get started with our Bible verse of the show of the week. It comes from Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. Don't get tired of doing what is good. Don't get discouraged and give up, for we will reap a harvest of blessings at the appropriate time. I'm sorry, guys. I have to do a personal disclosure. I just dealt with the situation earlier with my dissertation chair. I'm sorry. This verse just spoke to me in the moment. Don't get tired of doing what is good. Don't get discouraged and give up, for we will reap a harvest of blessings at the appropriate time. Got some news that I had to rewrite chapter 1. I was talking to Nikki, very disappointed, very discouraged, very annoyed, and kind of feeling like I wanted to give up. Just being honest with everyone. And here's this Bible verse that we are bringing to you this week. So I'm sure many of you out there feel like, man, I've been going hard. I've been, doing what I need to do at work. I've been, stepping it up in my relationships with my spouse or friendships or whatever. And, it's just not working. But this word that we're bringing to you today, don't get discouraged and don't give up. It's kind of good things come to those who wait. There's a harvest of blessings waiting for you, and God blesses you at the appropriate time. That's a message that I had to remember for myself and for you guys. We can have our own plans and our own timing, but if it doesn't line up with God's timing or plans, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think too, like you said, to not be discouraged and not give up. In recapping over the past several weeks, like Taylor said, we had a lot of feedback and we got a lot of emails from you guys. And it was, well, I've been married for this many years and I know I'm unhappy, but, I don't know if I have the energy to start over, or I'm already 50 some years old. Like, what's the point in finding my purpose in life now? And people get discouraged because I think we have this time limit that is placed on us, where we are supposed to have certain things done at a certain time and reach a certain goal by a certain age. And we know that's just simply not how life works. And if we live by these, arbitrary timelines, we're really never going to be able to love fully, whether it's loving ourselves. We even had one woman tell us that she's damaged goods and she's been through too much trauma to try to love herself now. Like, it's too much work. And, we talked about all of the detrimental things that happen when you don't love yourself and have that purpose in life, as well as like some of those obstacles that come in the way. And so, yeah, this Bible verse really does speak to me, because it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It is time to change, and it is time to understand how to love yourself and others, and really dive into your purpose, no matter where you're at in your age or your journey or anything else that's happening in your life.
Yeah, I think, Nikki, the key thing that sticks out for me is just don't get tired of doing what's good. I know there's so many of you watching this show day in and day out, wake up and do what you're supposed to do. Textbook definition of what you're supposed to do, you are doing it. And, just not receiving any of that positive feedback that you need, but just keep on pushing. Keep doing that inner work. Keep learning to love yourself. Keep showing up in your life, and never give up. It can be very discouraging, guys, but just never, ever give up.
Yeah, and I think too of when you're not, to not get discouraged in. I think a lot of times we ask, well, why? Why would I do this now? But why not? If you don't do it, who else is going to? And I know I really, with everything that's happening in the world around us, and sometimes things just seem so desperate and hopeless, that I really cling on to those people who bring joy, who bring light, who love fully. It makes me feel good. It inspires me. It motivates me. And so if you're feeling like, well, why should I do this right now? Or, why should I not be discouraged and give up? Because you never know who you're being the light to and who you're encouraging and inspiring. And that is really, really important.
I think that's the power of community, Nikki. And, our Bible verse from last week, Proverbs 15, chapter 22, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. Just like you said, just, working with your community to continuously bring out what lights you up, what inspires you, what keeps you going. When you find people that have the similar or the same purpose as you, you can latch up with one another within the community, and maybe find a bigger purpose between the two of you, or bring that purpose to the community and serve so many other people because you didn't give up.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And so I think that's why it's so important to kind of have this formula. We introduced to you all of these topics in succession for a reason this month, right? We can't have that purpose. We can't link up with the right people. We can't hear and understand them if we don't have some of these other things in place, right? It's not going to work out as well. So we have to learn to love ourselves. It doesn't mean we have to love ourselves fully or we're experts, but being solid and having a good foundation on that journey of healing yourself. And then only can you start to assess your relationships and learning how to be a good partner in your relationship, and then moving forward to your career in the community. And so it kind of is like a piece of the puzzle where every step doesn't have to be completed before you move on to the next step, but you definitely need to at least start making some progress in each of those before moving on.
This was coined by, one of our clients that we coach with leadership coaching, coloring in quadrants, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're bringing to you guys. There's different quadrants of love that you need to color in. And definitely, loving yourself is the foundation of it all. If you don't love yourself appropriately, or how can you expect to love yourself and somebody else in a relationship, or love your children the right way? If you haven't dealt with past difficult experiences or past trauma yourself, you might bring those behaviors into your next relationship, or it'll show with your children. And if you can't love yourself, you can't fully love other people. You can't fully find your purpose in life, and you dang sure can't show up in the community the way you need to. So that's why we brought this to you guys. We want you guys to work in the first three quadrants that we've shared: loving yourself, relationships, and purpose. And then once you kind of feel strong and feel faith in that, love globally. Take that out into the community and share your purpose and your love with the world.
Yes. It's like the Bible story about the house being built on sand, right? Like you have to have that good foundation so you can weather the storms that come. And this is the same thing when we talk about love, that you, in all three aspects and all of the aspects, you have to have that solid foundation so that you can weather those tough times. And I think that's where I want to say so many of us fail, because we start out, whether it's for noble intent or attention, so maybe not some noble intent, whatever the case may be, I think we set our sights on globally.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go out there and save the world and make this huge difference. But then as soon as you walk in the door, you have insecurities, you're yelling at your spouse, you're not an understanding person. And it's kind of like just doing that whole practice what you preach thing. Like you have to be able to take care of yourself before you can make that difference in the world. And I think too, sometimes that's why I think we feel discouraged and hopeless that there's not more people out there making a more positive change.
Yeah.
Because we don't take care of ourselves first, and it just doesn't go anywhere. And so, yeah, I know Taylor and I keep repeating that, but it's so important to take care of yourself and your relationships and those within your house first, so that you can serve fully in other areas.
It kind of reminds me of an upside down funnel cone. So, like wide at the top and then narrows down like this. A lot of people think globally, funnels down to self. And I would like to help you guys shift your mindset and see that it should be myself or loving myself that funnels down into loving globally. I think that's like the formula for success, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, truly it is. And, you know, we talked about all of these things, but why does it matter? Why can't I fake it until I make it? You know, we'll talk more kind of about attraction and manifestations and things like that next month and having those skills. But one, and I know we've both said this 1,000 times, but what you think affects what you feel, which affects how you behave. So whether you realize it or not, faking it until you make it will only last for a little tiny snippet of time. You know, your behaviors, whether even if they're subconscious or very nuanced, people will notice and pick up on. So it really is important to do this work. It's important because it has physical health benefits. It can reduce feelings of pain. Literally, your nerve endings will be less sensitized to physical pain when you're mentally healthy and you can live joyfully and empathetically to others. There are just so many benefits, so many benefits. A lot of our clients have stopped using medications. Now, we're not saying we're for or against medications, just in the natural course of our coaching, found that they no longer needed them because they had the mental acuity to handle their problems and have better coping skills and kind of change the way their brain chemistry works. So it's really important that we do talk about this.
I like that you said fake it till you make it. I know some people hate that saying, some people love that saying, but if I could change that phrase up a little bit, because I do like fake it till you make it. I like to liken that to your thoughts. You know how you just said, Nikki, CBT, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Tell yourself you're worth it. Tell yourself you are deserving of insert what right here. Tell yourself you're lovable. You can do it. All the positive words of affirmation. Tell yourself that on a daily basis, and then your mindset will start to shift. Like if you used to feel like don't deserve, I'm not worthless, blah, 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 blah. We know that that's associated with negative feelings towards yourself and those behaviors that are going to make you quit before you even get started. And insert other things there too. Tell yourself every day a positive message that you're worth it, you're deserving, you can do it. Be your own cheerleader. You know, I like to cheer, but be your own cheerleader. Say those words to yourself every day. And before you know it, you know, you're actually going to believe it. You're actually going to be walking in confidence. You're going to be walking in happiness, security, all of these different things because, you know, fake it till you make it. You keep telling yourself these things until it becomes a daily mantra that you believe.
I like how you reframe that because I think people think of faking it till you make it with behavior, which is how I associated it. So yeah, I love that you reframe that. Like fake it till you make it with your thoughts, but don't just focus on your actions on it because that's where you fall short. So what a beautiful reframe.
Thanks. We always talk about the importance of reframing things and shifting things into another light. You know, Nikki, you use the term finding that noble intent. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to be truly loving someone or yourself. You have to find the noble intent because people are going to have bad days. You know, people are going to feel like giving up and feeling like they're just tired of doing what's right and people aren't even noticing it. Finding that noble intent, like what is the purpose behind someone's behaviors or even your own behavior?
Absolutely. And so, okay, so let's assume that you've done the inner work, you've worked on your personal relationships, you're kind of starting to dig in and find your purpose. So now what? So like we said, we're going to look at this at a community level and a global level. So whether it's the community that you live in or the LGBTQ community or a church community, like whatever wider community that you're thinking of, that's kind of our focus today. Hi, Mildred. She said self-worth, love it. Yes, absolutely needed to live a happy life. Okay, so why are we focusing on the community? So it has a plethora of benefits, we know that. But one is we know that servicing others is one of the go-to recommended methods to help cure bouts of depression. So we're not talking about long-term clinical depression, but when you're having those moments of depression, those few days, if you are clinically depressed, those first couple of days of cycling back into that, it absolutely, statistically, better than not average, that you will feel better by servicing others. So Taylor, what are some ways that we can service others?
Some ways that I really think, we see a lot of flyers going around on social media, like come out to this food drive, help set up, donate, do whatever you can to help the less fortunate. So when I think about that, as in serving or giving back to the community and loving other people, that's what comes to mind. I know every once in a while, it doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while, Nikki and I offer free coaching sessions. It's been a while, but sometimes we'll do that just because somebody is really, truly in need. And that's how we want to give back. We want to, give back our area of expertise and give somebody the chance to get started on their healing journey. So when I think of, just giving back and sharing, I know you're more into volunteer work and
yeah, and even going, if you are feeling like that's too formal or it requires a little bit of planning, it's that time of year to start spring cleaning. I know that Sean and I last night cleaned out our downstairs closet because we have this closet downstairs where if we were too lazy to take things to the basement, we shove things in the closet. Even though the basement door is right beside the closet. So that's a whole separate set of lazy, embarrassing things that we do. So we just have this hall closet that was the junk closet. So we finally decided to tackle that. And there's so many things we found we could donate that we just don't use. It's good items. So even servicing others, if you're not feeling social or you're feeling really bummed out, or I don't know, we're living in COVID times. Maybe you don't feel like getting a shower that day. It happens. Taking that box and donating it. And I know when I donate things, I always leave little sticky notes, if I'm donating wallets or jackets, although they do wash clothes, so I probably should be careful. But I always put a little sticky note with positive affirmations and then tuck them in all these little things. So when someone buys it and gets it home, they have this really positive message. And so even if it's benefiting you, that's okay. Service to others does not have to be a self-sacrifice to you. It does not have to be unpleasant. You don't get bigger brownie points from God because you had to sacrifice more. Serving others is serving others. And if you get benefit out of it too, that is okay. Yeah. And I want to talk more about that guilt that we have as unnecessary. But yeah, so even if it's you know what, I'm going to do some spring cleaning and walk this stuff over to my neighbors because I know they're less fortunate, or I'm going to donate it. Even starting small like that can really make you feel good.
Nikki, I knew that you were into donating stuff, but I didn't know that you write little cute notes to people and tuck it away. That's so sweet.
I know, I'm so corny. I love it too. And I'm like a child. I'll put little hearts around it, decorate the border because I'm corny. And then I was feeling particularly bummed out. This is how my level of neediness that day. So if I feel good, I just slip in one note. If I'm feeling particularly sad and I really want to help others that I can't leave the house or, because I have my moments too, I will put multiple sticky notes in one wallet. Every pocket has a sticky note. And I'm oh goodness, because it makes me feel better. I'm I hope whoever gets this is just so they're laughing or pleasantly surprised or wow, this lady is crazy. But if they can chuckle out of it, I'm okay with that. So
look how pleasantly surprised I am. And you didn't even write me an affirmation. I think that's awesome. I just feel kindness and love have just been ever so slightly leaving this world and leaving a lot of people. So to know that there's still people out there, especially people like you, Nikki, that do that to uplift other people, it's amazing to me, and it makes me think about, there was this guy that would stand, what's that bridge from downtown to across the river?
And you're asking me?
The Harvey Taylor, I don't know, whatever. But off of Front Street, there was this guy standing there daily with signs. He would go out there for morning rush hour saying, "You are loved, you're worthy, I love you." Remember that guy? There was a news. Even something as little as that is bringing love to your community. Just think about what this guy did. We don't know what his schedule is for the rest of the day, but he made a concerted effort every single day for I don't know, a month or a few weeks to wake up in the morning and go stand out there with crazy rush hour traffic, just stand in traffic holding signs saying, "You are loved, I love you, have a great day." That's inspiring.
Yeah. And doing little things again, little things to help the environment, or if you go pick up trash somewhere, like this does not have to be, like we said, a planned effort. It's just when you make a contribution to the world around you in any way that's positive, it will make you feel better and help other people. I even think about like being really intentional and cognizant of what we post on social media. So I recently, like in the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, got a Facebook myself. So before, and this is
some time, Nikki.
yeah, this is just a snippet of Taylor and I's very codependent, enmeshed, and probably unhealthy relationship, although so far it seems healthy for us. But because we'd have to log into our business account and you need a personal account to link it. So I would just log in through her personal Facebook and then like post stuff for the business. And so I would get my scrolling in then prior to having my own, because like I had no connection to the outside world. And I just remember seeing the negativity and hate speech, and just, I would like text her and be like, yo, I'm on your Facebook and this is stressing me out right now. And so even thinking about, if we're in a time of need, I think it's very different complaining versus saying I need a prayer right now.
Yeah.
Or I need help. If someone's willing to connect with me, like that is, to me, is positive. It's outreach. It's being humble and asking for help. But when you have the list of complaints or discrimination against other groups of people, or just things that are generally kind of a bummer, it's it brings everyone down. So even when you're thinking about loving your community, it's, what am I posting? Am I putting out a message that will light someone up, that will make them feel positive, that makes everyone love one another more? And I think it's something we're thinking about.
Absolutely. And that's kind of been a theme for us that we highlighted, I want to say last month, I don't know, but just being cognizant of that message that you put out there and how social media can have detrimental impacts on the way you love yourself.
Yeah.
And even in the way that you love in relationships too. Highlighting at work. There's I really wish we could have it together. No names out there. In reality, behind closed doors, maybe their relationship isn't perfect. So you do have to take social media with a grain of salt. It's a highlight reel. We're always going to show the good things. But that's where being able to truly love yourself at your core and know the value that you bring to other people, who you are, what you're good at, all those things. If you believe in yourself and love yourself, seeing other people doing good or whatever isn't going to have any impact on you.
Absolutely. And we coach this a lot because we do a lot of leadership coaching and we target a lot of leaders in the community. When we talk about even giving feedback to others. So we talk about this whole like phrase that was coined by Brene Brown that's like, clear is kind. But what we know is there's a difference between being clear and being brutally honest. Being clear is kind, but saying something out of honesty, if it's not helping someone else grow or learn or become a better person, is unnecessary and not useful, right? And so that's part of loving the community around you. It's, how can I be clear and direct, but in a kind way, in a way that's going to help someone? Is what I'm saying helpful? Is this going to help someone reassess and bring value to their life? And if it's not, don't say it, because that's not loving our community at all.
Right. Mildred says there are no rules for social media, so some use it for the wrong purpose. Whew, amen to that. Yeah. Amen to that. Yes, I see social media being used for so many bad things. People just can get on there, say whatever, share whatever, do whatever, tear down whoever, bully whoever, because it's behind a screen. You don't have to interact physically in front of people. So people just kind of feel like the courage to say whatever and just be horrible. What I see is that social media has the power to do something great and connect so many people from different parts of the world to bring forth a message that you're trying to share or your purpose. And unfortunately, Mildred, you're right. I think social media falls short just because there are no rules.
And I hate spending so much time on this, but not really, because social media is, even if it's not a huge part of your life specifically, I mean, everyone's online somehow watching the show right now, right? And it's not a part of your kid's life. It's a part of the global life. So it's globalization at its core is from the development of social media. So we have to address it. It's a core of what our lives are now. And so you're right. There are no rules. But like Taylor said, you lead by example. And so understanding the impact that you have on there and what you're doing on social media. Yeah, I had so much more to say to that, but I think just keeping it simple, what you do has an impact whether you realize it or not. And if you're not ready, if you haven't done that inner work, take a break from social media. I don't mean a break for a day or two. Take a few months off. Part of the reason why I didn't have social media for so long is I hadn't done the inner work enough to get me to the point where I could handle those negative comments that come when you own a business. And everyone has something to say about it and will private message you. Like, I knew I wasn't equipped enough to handle that without taking it personally. I knew Taylor was. So that was her job to handle that social media. When we first got the business started, I did the accounting work and she did the social media. And that's where we left it until I had done the work to be okay with myself and have enough worth to know that there's a learning and growing experience with negativity, but that I wasn't taking it personally at all. And it was quite a journey.
Yeah, Nikki, and I think, just thinking back on, the reason why we did this show the way we did with the weeks, that's what you did. Speaking of leading by example, that's literally exactly what you did. Learned how to love yourself first. Now you're dating my brother and you guys are perfect. You absolutely love, the work that you do. And now you're giving back to people in the community. We started this business so that we could touch and impact people in the way that fit our purpose, and then like you did the work. It took some time, like you shared with everybody, but you did the work. And guys, everybody who's watching can literally do the same exact thing.
Absolutely. And so what are the other benefits of taking what we learned about love and applying it to the larger community? When we take these skills that we've given you over the past several weeks and we apply that at the community level and lead by example, we raise, I think the most important things is social awareness and cultural competency. I am just shocked, amazed, disgusted, bewildered. I can't think of any other emotion words right now by the lack of cultural competency, especially in the workplace, but everywhere. And I know this isn't my topic to talk about, so Taylor, I might have you take over here, but like in regards to racism, where people don't realize what they're saying is racist, just a lack of awareness. I'm just, and it can be so subtle, but we pick up on it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, how is this still happening? Aside from the overt hate that we see, just those little nuances of like that's not okay. And so when we bring that love to the community, it helps us come in contact with people we might not always. It gets us out of our little work group, gets us out of our friend group, and forces us to be aware of other people's perceptions and life experiences and not be so judgmental.
Literally, I wrote down the definition to share with everybody of social awareness. Nick, you did a great job of explaining it, but for Webster purposes, I guess you could say, social awareness and cultural competency is basically the ability to take on the perspective of other people, empathize with them, understand them. It's understanding cultural norms, ethical behaviors, and just behaviors in general. And like you said, Nikki, sometimes people just don't have social awareness or cultural competency. They'll say crazy things out of their mouth, and you're just like, wow, that hate that you're spewing out is a reflection of how you view yourself, maybe, but to go on the other side of that, if you're not familiar with somebody who's different than you, and you want to learn, take the time to learn, ask questions, learn to love somebody who's different than you. It reminds me of the salon that we were at this weekend, Nikki. And my girl was looking at me and she's like, she was an Asian woman. She's looking at me. She's like, I really like your hair. She was like, do you think I could do that too with my hair? She's like, my hair is too short. My hair is too short. And I was like, no, actually, it's like, my hair is very short. I literally just cut it off. I showed her a picture of how short my hair was. And she's just asking all these questions. Like in my opinion, she was being very socially aware. She was expressing and noticing a difference between her and I, but wanting to get to know me a little bit more, and how long it took to do my hair and all this stuff. But
I think she would apologize. She's like, oh, sorry, like I didn't know. And you were like telling her all the details.
No, yeah, I was like, I had to explain it. And guys, if you are a woman that gets your hair done like me, you've had this conversation millions of times with people who don't understand. But she was like, my hair is too short. I was like, literally, it's attached. Like they attach extra hair and do your hair. And she was just she was just amazed by that process. And just being able to be open and share those differences with people and understand that they want to learn from you. Like, just have that conversation.
And I think, you know, because of the platform we're on today, like, we can't ignore that this happens in the church all the time as well, right? Like, you know, I see so many people who will have this loving perception of the community until it comes to religion. And then it's like, well, your religion's different than mine and mine is better. And now we don't like you. And it's that, you know, so for me and like my Christian perspective, it's I will still love everyone and respect. And if you want me to go to a mosque with you because you want me to see what your thing's about, just because I don't believe in that way, doesn't mean I won't accompany you on your journey and respect you as a human who's allowed to have a different viewpoint. And I know like that's kind of controversial for some people, but again, we at the core of everything, we have to love. And loving is not telling people how wrong they are. Loving is not hating on someone else. Loving is not saying that your thoughts are more pure and better than someone else's. It's leading by example. And like, we cannot stress that enough.
I think, that's a clear definition of just loving globally, Nikki. You know, you explained it beautifully. Wow. Beautifully. I said beautifully.
Oh, I didn't even notice. And you know, so I think Pastor Kevin preached this recently. I think you were there, Taylor, but it was a day where he's like, you know, loving globally is loving the people you don't like. So if you guys can all sit there and think of one person right now that you really just don't like, whether it's someone who's abusive to their children, their spouse, they're just really a pain in your butt, always will be, they're wretched, horrible people. Are you able to truly love them? And if not, that's part of this loving globally is literally loving every person on this earth, no matter how different they are from you. Even if they have behaviors that are detestable that you don't agree with, it's still your job to love.
Yeah. And, you know, when you think about who God was, you know, he loved everyone. He loved criminals, loved, I want to say abusers. He just loved all the bad people. And he showed them, he led by example. He showed them what true love was. He showed them how to shift their mindsets. He showed them how to, you know, keep going and spread the love to everybody else and brought miracles to non-believers. You guys, you know, we're not God, but we can live in his image and we can be.
What, we're not? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know, if I were, God, no, I'm just kidding. But we could literally live in his image, guys. We can spread that love. It's hard. You know, we bring skills to you guys almost every week. But learning to love in spite of like being surrounded by hate is hard. It's so easy to get into the evil. It's so easy to get sucked into complaining and complacency and all those blinding lights we talked about in December. Stay strong, show love, spread the love, do what God would do. WW bracelets, WWJD, yourself. Let's do and do that seriously.
Yeah, and so lastly, you know, because we have to connect this to our mindset somehow. So, you know, by being able to do all this, like if you can truly love someone that you don't like their behaviors, because it's not that you don't like the person, you don't like the things that they're doing. And those are two very, very different things. Once you reach that level of capacity, you have emotional intelligence, you're able to regulate your emotions, which means generally anything that happens in life, you're able to recover really quickly and not stoop so low to the point you were before. And I can say even up to, I mean, truthfully, like 2 years ago, there were still people I wouldn't say I hated, I had disdain for. I mean, slight loathing, low-key bit of resentment. Like where I wouldn't act on it, but I had private shower conversations about how petty I wanted to be. You know, and I would say it's honestly been since 2020. So not even barely a year. Because I would say I started this journey last year of being able to be like, okay, what does it mean to love others and how do I practice that? And girl, like, you know this, it's been a daily practice. I mean, I have worked hard. It's been journaling. It's been reading books. Like it has been a work because I felt like I was better than average, but definitely not where I was like, where I could say I love everyone. And now, and the beauty that has come out of that though, is I can't tell you the last time someone has made me angry. Like there's just not anger in me anymore.
Oh, pick me.
Okay, Taylor. When's the last time? Yeah.
I made Nikki angry last week because I don't know. I was just being mean, and I'm not a mean person, but I was being mean to her and my husband. And then one day I decided to be nice, texting Nikki, "Hey girl, what are you doing? I miss you." And she's just ignoring me. And I'm like, maybe she has a lot. Like, we both have been talking about, we have a lot to do, and she's just busy. Then the next day she literally tells me, "Yeah, did you notice I wasn't texting you back?" "Yeah, because I was mad at you and I was ignoring you." So I was the last time.
Correction. I did not say I was mad at you. I said you were annoying me. There's a big difference.
Whatever.
I was not mad at you. You hurt my feelings and you were annoying me. Very different, which is true. She was being a little bit grumpy these past few months.
Well, Nikki,
but I wasn't mad at you. Yeah. But I mean, but I think that's the difference. No, I'm going to correct that. I think if I would have been mad at you, I would have addressed it. However, I knew why you were grumpy. I knew this too shall pass, and we would talk about it as a couple that we are at some point, right? So I was not angry. I was hurt.
Okay, that's better.
Over it. Like, I was just over it. But which is why I was kind enough to not say anything until I knew you were in a place to talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. And but I love that you pointed out that example, Taylor, because I think that is a prime example of what happens when you can love someone wholly. I did not love your behavior since pretty much January 1st. I did not love your behaviors. I still loved you, and I was treating you respectfully and waiting until you were at an emotional place for me to be like, wow, you've been awful the past couple months. And I think that's the prime example of what loving can do to people. Like, it gets you in this place where you have so much control and joy, and like, you can be irritated without being angry. And oh my gosh, is that a nice place to be?
Yes, absolutely. So, looking back at all the weeks, I just wanted to, tie this up. Nikki brought you the final mindset, but I want to circle back to our Bible verse from week 1 because it can apply to this whole month, our topic. And that was Proverbs chapter 10, verse 12. Is hatred stirs up strife, but love conquers all. We talked so much about how the spirit of kindness and love is leaving this planet. We talked about how leading by example can bring it back. So remember, hatred stirs up strife. And when you guys are surrounded by that strife and hatred and anger and all the, bad, I don't want to say bad emotions because no emotion is bad, but all the negativity, remember, love conquers all. Show up and lead by example. Show people how to love. Simple. Show people how to love. And it's on them if they want to, follow your lead or not, but at least you put it out there and you showed them.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are avid book readers, who kind of, because I know if you need to be inspired or motivated to really get into this topic, there's a book that I know I've talked about it 1,000 times, but it's called The Book of Joy. And so the author of it spent a lot of time traveling at the same time with the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, right? So after apartheid, Desmond Tutu figured out how to, in South Africa, bring the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and how to love those people who had oppressed Black people for so long, and saying, like, we can only make South Africa grow through love. So it was with him and then the Dalai Lama, who is not a Christian, but who is known around the world for love and peace. And so coming from a very Christian perspective and then a non-Christian perspective of showing how these two men are great friends. Yes, the Book of Joy. Thank you, Miss Bailey. How they're best friends, how they respect each other, how they both bring love globally, but from two different perspectives, and how to have that joy and spread that in your life is absolutely wonderful. No, we're not getting sponsored to advertise this book. It has just been one of those things that, like, personally, I found a way to respect others better and bring that joy myself. So it's an absolute must read for those who are interested.
Yes. So guys, in closing, thank you so much for following our series this month. And we hope that the topic of love was, life-changing for you, and that you were able to apply some of the things that we talked about to your life. As always, we continue this content in our newsletters, which you can sign up for on our website at www.visiondrivencoaching.com. It's at the bottom of, I think, every one of our pages, so you can submit your email. Make sure you spell it correctly, because we get the kickbacks when you don't.
Yes. We get the notifications. I think we're up to, like, I don't know, 100 emails that have been spelled wrong. So check your spelling before you hit submit.
Yes, yes. And also, please follow us on our social media pages. Our Instagram is down below, BKLLC19. And our Facebook page is Bryant Katsaounis Life Coaching.
Yes, and I challenge all of you as we close to find one thing you can do tonight to love someone else. If it's leaving a random positive note on the windshield of someone's car, if it's going and dropping donations off at the animal shelter, I don't know. If you can do one thing to show that you love your community, please, please do so tonight.
Yes. And also, guys, in closing, I wanted to share just briefly our topic for next month. March is associated with green, with gold, with luck. So Nikki and I have done a lot of background research, and we decided to bring you guys our true area of expertise outside of trauma and mental health, and that's leadership. So the topic is the name of our series is going to be Leadership or Luck, How to Find Your Pot of Gold. So I'm just going to leave it very brief. We're really going to dig in and dig through the dirt, help you guys get to your pot of gold, give some tips, strategies, techniques, how to do all of the wonderful things to get to your pot of gold. So as always, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week for MINDTRIP, where we explore the connections between mindsets and mental health. Tune in next Wednesday at 2 p.m. for your pot of gold.
Yes, go spread the love, please.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.